All right. Good morning, fellas. Bubba here. Monday morning. Boots laced, coffee in hand, another week to get after it. Hope everybody's doing good. I am here in Paradise, Kentucky. Still here. I think this is going to be the last week I'll be here. So good morning, good morning. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope you're rolling out. Today's theme, we're going to be talking about focus. Because when you lose focus, you miss details. And when you miss details in construction, that's when accidents happen. If you're live, let me know where you're heading today. If you're catching the replay, you're still part of this crew. Like I said, good morning. Hope everybody's doing good. Got your first coffee in hand, headed down the road, picking up crew, stopping by the shop, picking up men, materials, tools, whatever you're going to need to get your work done today. Or you're at the quick trip getting that first cup of coffee. Let me know where you're heading, what you're doing today. What kind of work what kind of trades are you representing? Looks like I've got rain. I don't know where you guys are at. I know I promise to do this thing every Monday morning at 5 to 6 a.m. But I'm in Central Time, so it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I know a lot of the guys I talk to are on the Eastern Time. So you're just, I got an extra hour this morning. I'm gonna be ahead of the game. I'm gonna be really ahead of the game. And if you're out this time in the morning and the job starts at 7 and you're rolling at 5 and tuning in, I know you're ahead of the game too. You're a real leader. This week the theme is focus, and I had that on the job site I was on here last week. I covered focus and made a series out of it, and focus is a real important thing, and we'll cover more of that as we move along. Anyway, let me know where you're headed, what kind of work you do, what trades you participate in, and what kind of job you're headed to. Is it industrial, commercial, chemical, power plants? That's what I'm on. I'm on a power plant up here in Paradise. And depending on your perspective, it really could be paradise, or it could be what do you call that when you mean the opposite of something? I don't know. But anyway, here I am, and there you are. If you catch the replay, you're still part of the team. But anyway, give me a message. Send me a message in the old chat bot here, and let me know what's going on and where you're headed. Send me a message. Help keep me involved and help keep me motivated to get up in these crazy hours and do this stuff with you. First of all, I want to say I appreciate you getting up and getting it after it this morning. A lot of men have reached a point in their life because of whatever, financial, not making enough, the economy, all various reasons. People aren't being as productive. They're not getting out. They don't think they make enough money, or they don't think that the work is worth it. But in my opinion, work gives you purpose, and and you have an opportunity to broaden your skill sets, which makes you more valuable in the long run. Now, don't get me wrong, a man's life is all the things that he does. And, I'm working 10 hours a day, every day on a job site as well. And I'm still doing my regular things that I do, making videos and motivating men. So you add it all up, and I'm still working pretty much a lot. And, I don't know if it's work. I enjoy it so much. Somebody told me, find what you love in life and you won't work a day in your life. But you got to get out there and work and see the world to discover what you like. And that's where so many fall down on it. From 5 o'clock in the morning when the alarm goes off, they just roll over. They, if they even have the alarm set, they stay up all night doing different crazy things and then sleep most of the day. But anyway, I digress into some area that I really don't want to go in. The word of the week is focus. Like I mentioned, I covered that on the job site I'm on last week as a series, and these guys are doing, I've got 2 separate crews on this project. One of them is an abatement crew. Probably, I don't know, about 50 guys doing various types of abatement, from glove bagging to building containment to taking down containment to hauling debris to working in the containment, doing asbestos abatement. And then the scaffolding crew that is there to assist them. And it's a complicated project, so it requires a whole lot of coordination amongst the team members, and they're doing a good job. It sure makes my job easier when you have a highly motivated and skilled workforce, and they came that way. When I showed up, they were already motivated and moving in the right direction. So I'm real proud to be a part of their team. But focus is your most valuable tool on the job. Now, you can have the sharpest saw and the best crew and the newest gear, but if your mind wanders, none of it matters. Focus is what keeps you cutting straight, climbing safe, and working efficiently. Now, we all know that distractions are everywhere. Even in the early morning meetings that we have, you can see that people are distracted on a Monday morning. They're still doing the honey I loved yous over the phone. They're trying to catch up and make sure everything's running smoothly at the home. They're trying to find out where their buddy's at that had some trouble over the weekend. There's a million different things that can be distracting. And at some point, you got to cut it off. You got to direct your focus on what you're doing. The things that you're doing to take care of your family. And the main thing to do when you're trying to take care of your family is taking care of yourself. And the distractions are everywhere. You got the phones, you got the noise on a job site, you got side conversations going on. And, you heard the old saying, mind your own business. Well, you can't mind your own business when somebody's yakking about how their mama treated them or their wife treated them over the weekend when you're right next to them. It's distracting. So try to keep those kind of things to a minimum. We all have them. And as men, a lot of times we do have to suffer in silence and maintain focus on our work for the benefit of those who are giving us grief even sometimes. So make sure that you know that they are distractions and they can cause you to make mistakes. But when you lock in on your task, you've eliminated distraction during the PTP meeting and the safety meeting, and you've focused in, and you're able to lock in on the task. And one of the things I do, and I used to poo-pot quite a bit, is having regular safety meetings every morning. And I always limit mine to 5 to 7 minutes. I'm always looking at the watch, trying to get it wrapped up. And then the next thing that I really used to poo-pah is the stretch and flex. And I made mention to this a couple of weeks ago when we started stretching and flexing, that it's stretching and flexing together before we even start work. It clears our minds, it orients our spirits, and gets our mental game together so that we're ready to move together as a team and that produces superior work, and we take care of each other when we get focused on what we're doing. In those morning safety meetings, and stretch and flex are the first thing that we can do to focus our team and get them ready to go to work. But when you lock in on the task, you make fewer mistakes and you finish stronger. You already know what you're doing. If you've had a proper PTP meeting, you know what your task is. You know what the hazards are associated with that task, and you know how you need to mitigate them so you're prepared to perform your task in a safe and efficient way. So make sure you stay focused on the step in front of you, and you'll get the whole job done right. And just as a punchline, as a motto, if you keep this in mind, focus turns effort into results. All right, focus turns effort into results. So as you hit the job site today, take that little bit of knowledge with you and spread that amongst your troops, your co-workers who may not have had this motivational conversation this early in the morning. All right. Got that cup of coffee, everybody? And I've been in that situation before. You pick up a bunch of guys and you're a supervisor and you're driving the truck. And, we've talked about it before. If you're getting a ride to work, by God, you better be ready when that dude hits the darn pavement in front of your house. Make him wait. He's probably had to pick up 3 other guys, and he's trying to be to work on time. And he's got all kinds of things. He's got to go by the shop, pick up tools. He's probably been rolling an hour before you got out of the darn bed. So give him the courtesy of being ready for when he hits there. And supervisors, you guys who are picking all those people up and doing all those things, bless your heart. There's been many a day that I've been driving down the road and picked everybody up. My mind's wheeling around at 1,000 miles an hour. And I look in the passenger seat and look in the rearview mirror, and everybody's conked out, getting them a little nap on the way to work. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? You wonder why I get up and do this every day. That's because you're better than most. You're stronger than most. You're more determined than most. And God bless you for that. I appreciate you doing that. And I'm proud that you're here. If you're watching this, I'm proud that you're here and participating. Send me a note. Tell me how many guys are asleep in your truck right now. And hopefully not yourself if you're driving. But this week on the other channel, the safety topic, it's going to be a ladder safety. And, we look at ladders and we think about people falling off of them by, not maintaining 3 points of contact or reaching out too far and all this stuff. But let's take a look at it a little closer. Now, a ladder looks simple. Most ladder accidents happen when someone wasn't paying attention to the setup. Is it set to the wrong angles? People putting them up at the wrong angle, too steep. The angle's too steep. Are they too steep? Are the angles not steep enough? And if it's too steep, they'll fall backwards with you. And if it's too steep, the darn thing will fall back with you riding it to the ground. And if it's too shallow, the darn thing will slip out from under you. So, and then, soft ground. How many times you started up a ladder and it started leaning to one side, you had to come back down and found out that one of the feet has sunk in 4 inches. 4 inches, 12 feet away is a pretty big difference, ain't it? Yes, sir. It makes you feel like 40 feet. Anyway, and the footing that's unsecure, and good Lord, I know as a younger man, using planks on an angle, on a slope, using planks and bricks and everything else to get the footing level. I look back on that and go, good God, what a foolish young man you were. And it's amazing that I have made it to the age I have made it. And I don't want to see anybody out there, because, you know, you think you're invincible at a certain age. Through a certain age, you think you're invincible. And those are the times that you're really doing damage to your body, and you don't recognize it till you're up in your 50s and 60s. And you still got a lot of life at 50 and 60, and here you are done goofed up your body, your back, your legs, your knees, your feet. Everything's hurting when you get out of bed in the morning. But if you become conscious enough at a young age, you can take and set procedures in your daily work habits that'll keep you healthy as you grow older in the construction business. But a lot of ladder accidents happens because someone wasn't paying attention at the setup. And now listen, I'm in a hotel room and I'm kind of trying to keep it down. And so I'm kind of low talking, and I got the AC running because it's a little warm and humid today. So if y'all hear a lot of noise, forgive me. Maybe next week I'll be back in the home studio. But anyway, make sure that talking about ladder, make sure you focus on the proper angle. The proper angles for a ladder setup is 4 to 1. You know, if you go for every 4 feet you go up, make sure the base of the ladder is 1 foot from the ground. So if you're at 20 foot going up, make sure that you're 5 foot away from the base of the building. Make sure the feet are on firm ground. And here's a story, personal experience about tying off the top of the ladder. Make sure you tie the top of them ladders off. Now, I'll tell you a story. I was at my grandmama's house one time, and she was into her 90s, and I was in my 50s. And I was cleaning off her roof, and it was a relatively low sloped roof, and I was up there with a leaf blower blowing out the gutters and blowing all the leaves that stand on the roof, you know, in the valleys and all. And I climbed up the ladder, and wasn't that high, maybe 10 foot to the darn gutter, and I got off there, and I was dragging that cord around with that darn leaf blower, and got to moving around, and that cord got against that ladder, and I didn't tie it off at the top, and that cord caught that ladder, and I heard something drag, and I turned around just in time to watch that old cord drag that ladder right off the roof. Anyway, a fat 50-year-old something, 50-something-year-old standing on the top there, and dadgummit, how am I going to get off of this roof? I can't call my 90-something-year-old grandmama out there to come lift that darn ladder. That ain't going to happen. Man, I got to worrying and thinking about it, worrying about it, and trying to come up with a solution, looking for different places I could probably maybe jump off. And I got to looking at that 8 or 10 feet's a long way to jump for a 50-year-old. And God dog, I sat there and I got to looking at that cord that pulled that thing off. I still had one end of that darn cord in my hand. And, you know, the idea came to me. So I put a little loop in the end of that cord where it was plugged into the leaf blower. And it took me about 25 tosses, and I finally hooked that ladder and dragged it up to me, lassoed that dirt thing and dragged it up to me. So that's a good lesson on why to secure a ladder at the top. And it was hot, boy. It was hot on that roof. It was blistering my butt. And here I am. I kept looking up and down the neighborhood, and it was, you know, relatively early in the morning. People still rubbing sleep out of their eyes, and here I am stuck on the rooftop. Anyway, y'all take my lesson from that. And I think the week before, you know, we talked about this a minute ago, but distractions. distractions. This week's job site challenge is blocking out distractions. And think about all the distractions we got going on around us. Me, I got a darn phone that is attached to the hip at all times, and I'm sure most of y'all are the same way. And it's dinging and danging, or I'm expecting a call from somebody about some subject that is related to the job, or I could have a guy calling me from the job site having some type of an emergency. So, you see me constantly looking at the phone. And that could be a real distraction, especially if you're walking across a job site, especially if they got scaffold work going on above you, or guys are moving material, loading out debris. And, that darn old beeper on that forklift moving that debris, it could be loud as ever, but if you're distracted, you may not hear it. And that's a darn fact. I stepped off in a hole one time on a roof job. We were removing a roof and using a crane, and we had cut right a path in the middle of those roofs where we could disconnect the roof joist from the main beams. And there was a guy not tied off right, and I was rushing across there, and I stepped right in that thing and sunk me down. Quite funny anyway. So this week's challenge is distractions. We've all seen it. Somebody on their phone while walking across the site, trying to work too fast while thinking about something else. And distractions just don't slow you down. They create hazards for everyone. If you're distracted and you're involved in a team effort, if distractions put you at risk, you're at risk. You put the whole crew, the crew at risk. Your mistake could cause not only an injury for yourself, but you could cause the injury of one of your coworkers. So, excuse me, that coffee get with me this morning. So distractions. Let's make sure that we avoid those distractions. So challenge yourself this week. When you're on the job, put the outside noise aside. Handle the task in front of you with full focus, and then move on to the next. That's how you build safe, efficient work. Y'all leave me a comment so I know you're participating. Listen, those distractions can really, and we all have it. Here it is, especially Monday morning. You're winding down from the weekend. You might be thinking about your kid's soccer game. You might be thinking about your daughter's dance recital. You could be thinking about a multitude of things. Did you get that repair at the house done right? Do you have to pick up some additional parts to finish up a project you got going on at the house? There are distractions everywhere. And at some point, you have to shut them off. You have to cut the phone off. And I'm not saying totally disregard any of your personal stuff, but make sure that you're not engaged in some task on the job site where your distraction could endanger a coworker. And watch out for your other coworkers. They may not be feeling well. They might be having trouble at home. There might be there's a million different scenarios, but look out for distractions. And, when there's a distraction, it's not a point of, hey, you dummy. It's not the point where you want to yell at them. But you certainly want to guide them and let them know, say, hey, Joe, everything okay? Step aside, stop the work for a minute. It's far more important to stop the work for a minute than to add distraction on top of distraction and create chaos in the middle of a task. So pull them aside, say, hey man, can you stay focused? Is there something I can do? We got, we're doing a crane lift, or we're hanging this, or We need you fully focused on what's going around. Can you do that, or do we need to find some other thing? And if it's an overburdening type of thing, you may have to find someone to fill in. It may delay the project, but a task delay in the project is far better than having someone injured who is distracted. So y'all look out for those distractions. Anyway, hey, I got one for you. Why did the ladder get written up? Because it's always leaning on others. All right. What's a distracted carpenter's favorite song? Oops, I nailed it again. We had an old carpenter one time. He was climbing the ladder and didn't have his tool belt, buckled right or tight enough, and every step he took, a screwdriver or a wrench falling out of it. By the time he got to the top, half the job site was dodging tools falling out of that guy's full tool belt. And the foreman told him, he says, next time focus on gearing up before you climb. Well, the fool had to come back down and gather all his tools when he got back up there. Ain't that the thing about it? You get distracted. And kind of reminds me of an old story. One time, old Sawzall went bad, and superintendent told one of his employees, he's working on the 3rd floor, 5th floor, whatever. He said, man, take this daggum Sawzall to the truck and bring the other one. Now that truck was, like I said, he was 4 or 5 stories up, and there's no elevator. The elevator, wasn't installed yet. And so he had to go down the stairs, down the scaffolding stairs, and then a half a mile to the darn truck and get that Sawzall. And he came back and they got to working. The same supervisor an hour later, he was working with someone else on a different floor, and the darn Sawzall that guy had gone bad. And he said, go down to the truck and get another Sawzall. The old boy went down there and got that Sawzall that the other boy had dropped off, and 4 or 5 floors down, half a mile to the truck, half a mile back from the truck, 4 or 5 flights back up, and got up there and found out. And supervisor said, dadgummit, I sent this one down by Jose a while ago, and you went and got it. So that old boy had to take another trip down to the truck and another trip back from the truck. So here's the lesson in that. If you're going to take a tool out of service, make sure you identify it. Make sure that you, make sure that you identify that tool as being no bueno. Wrap it up in danger tape, put a note on it, tie the cord in a knot, and just identify it as being no good so that you don't waste a man's time and energy and productivity by him grabbing a bad tool out of the truck. And another thing old ladder, we was working in a hospital over in Alabama, and there was this darned old ladder. It was broken, and I said, get this thing off the side, throw it away. I don't want to see this daggum thing. And so they threw it in the dumpster, and I was on the scaffolding, 4 or 5 stories up, and I was down because we just lowered a component or something, and I was looking, and I could see, and I saw that ladder about half a day in the back of that darn dumpster. And old boy, I wandered by, and he happened to see it, and he grabbed it and took it upstairs, and it was with another contractor, and it had the company I was working for's name all over it. And I said, man, that's risky. Now, I want y'all to think about that. If you throw away a ladder and it's got your company name on it, somebody else thinks they need a ladder because their boss man was too cheap to bring them one or too cheap to buy another one, and they get it out of there and it's got your company name on it, and they go to use that damaged ladder and they fall and hurt themselves because of that damaged ladder, you and your company's liable for that. So I went and got that ladder from that contractor. So what are you doing with this ladder? Where'd you get it from? I didn't, you know, he didn't want to own up to nothing. I said, I know where you got it. You got it out of trash. I washed it, and I know the guy threw it away because I told him to, because it's broken. And here you are using it. And I gave him the spiel about him hurting himself on somebody else's ladder that was broken. And then I made that boy who I first told to throw it away come and get it. And I told him, take a sawzall and cut this thing down. It's an aluminum ladder. It shouldn't have been on the job to begin with. I said, break the rails and throw this thing away so it's just a piece of junk. I said, if you want to cut the aluminum rails out of it and throw them in the back of the truck for scrap, feel free to do so. But destroy this ladder before you throw it away. And then the next day I had the meeting on why we do that kind of thing. So there's some stories that I have from tools. Okay. All right. Last week on MCB Ventures channel, we covered pinch points and how easy it is to lose a finger or a hand or have your whole body crushed when focus can slip for a second. Got some comments from folks saying it reminded them to slow down and think before they reach into tight spots. That's awareness. And awareness is focus in motion. Pinch points, boy, I tell you what, I've seen some horrible photos and know some horrible stories. I had a neighbor who ran a infrastructure company and had all kinds of heavy equipment, and he had a low boy, you know, the kind that break away at the tandem, and he had a guy that was back there between the tandem and the low boy truck and trying to do something, and the truck driver didn't see him and backed into him and crushed him. And the horrible thing is that he lived and knew he was dead. And he called my neighbor over, the owner of the company, was giving him instructions on what to do and how to take care of his family. Could you imagine having that on your plate? Watching a trusted employee crushed, dying, and the only thing he could think of is how to take care of his family in his last moments. Terrible story. Please be careful out there and watch out for those pinch points. Don't get between something that can crush you. When you're moving material handling, guys, make sure you're using horns, alarms, and everything else when you're moving around so nobody walks into an aisleway as you're going by on a forklift loaded with material. Make sure the material is secured to the forks. I had another instance where a contractor was on a job site, and they had bought the salvage rights to some switch gear on the job, and they were removing a panel, and this thing probably weighed 1,200, 1,500 pounds. And they had it on a forklift, and the owner of the company was backing down an aisleway, and they didn't have that panel secured to the forklifts, to the boom. And there was a valve on a pipe that they didn't see, and he was backing down. That valve sticking out caught that panel, and his long-term employee did not have anywhere to go. He was kind of holding it up and guiding it, doing this thing. Crushed him dead right there. Another situation. It's these mom and pop things. I see this happen all the time. So be careful. That's a crush point created by material handling. So slow down. Make sure you know what you're going. Secure the load. Anyway, I don't like to talk about those things, but I think it's necessary. So, crush points, pinch points. You know, you hear about, I saw some video the other day, guys getting hung up in machinery, and it's something I just can't stand to look at anymore. Some people look at it with some morbid sense of something or another that they think they want to see, that kind of thing, but not me. If I see it's going to happen, I just don't want to look, and I'll scroll away or look away. I just don't. I've had too many experiences where I don't want to see the results of somebody not paying attention. Had a guy in high school. He had long hair. You know, I went to school back in the late 70s, high school. Back then they still had shop, and we was in metal shop. And we were building deer stands, and the guy was running a drill press, had that long hair, and a clump of his hair got caught up in that drill press. And that was a big machine. It was cutting steel, and I was doing another part of the project, and I heard the pitch on that motor change, and I looked just in time to watch that guy bracing up and pulling away, and it had that hair. And about that time you hear a pop, and it pulled a chunk of his hide right off his skull with the hair and all. I don't know if y'all know how bad a head injury bleeds, but good Lord. And then the old dude had to walk around with a big old patch of hair going out of the top of his head right there for the rest of his high school. I don't know if he ever got it fixed, but if I ever see a guy walking around with that kind of patch missing out of his head, I'll know him. That ain't nothing to laugh about, but you know, it wasn't funny then. Good Lord, the shop teacher was crazy. He was like, we all learned a valuable lesson. Valuable lesson. All right, time to move along. Watch out for that stuff, boys, girls. You know, another thing that we really need to look out is focus and set up checks. You know, here's a tip for you. Build your own quick focus checklist before each task. Go through the things in your mind, what tools you're going to need, what the hazards are. Even though you might have had a PTP, still consider everything in that PTP and then add your own thought processes in it. Just don't approach anything bouncing through it like you're playing with the 5-year-old. You know, it doesn't take much planning to entertain a 5-year-old. So with things like ladders, you know, make sure you check the footing. Is it on a firm, solid ground? Is the angle right? Is it tied off? Is it clear from the base? You know, don't want to put a ladder in a darn doorway. How many times have I seen that? I can't even count. Hell, I've walked through a doorway and bumped into an old boy on a ladder. He about came off the ladder. And I was like, what are you doing, man? He said, well, you know, I had to get up here and get this done. I said, I know you did. I could tell that's what you needed to do because you're up. But I walked in here like knocked you off the ladder. What if it had been somebody who's not accustomed to being careful open the door because he never knows what's on the other side? Somebody could have been in a hurry and coming through there in a hot movement and just knocked you clean off that ladder and hurt you, knocked you into that process equipment that you're working nearby. It's dead. I know the factory's dead and we're demoing it, but you could have still knocked your noggin and bled out on the floor. What? I don't know, man, but why are you doing this? Why didn't you lock that door? Why didn't you secure that door? Why didn't you put up some danger tape? Why didn't you, you know, the list went on and on, and you could tell his feelings was hurt. And I said, look, man, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but doggone, that scared the poo-poo out of me, and it should have scared the poo-poo out of you. What could have happened? And it did. It was a kind of traumatizing for him when he thought about it. And we talked about it later, and he said, man, he says, I really should be more careful about that kind of thing. And I said, I agree with you. And fortunately, you weren't hurt. And fortunately, we both learned a valuable lesson. I know now to even open doors more slowly as I come out through the opening. And anyway, and you know, I know ladders is kind of a thing, but there's other things. Tools. Is the blade on that circular saw, is it in good order? Are you going to be standing there making smoke all day instead of making chips? Is the sawzall blade, is it in good shape? Or are you just going to be standing there for an eternity trying to cut to a piece of copper tubing, which should take 30 seconds, and you've been at it for 3 minutes because you didn't get a sharp blade? And for the crew, check that everyone heard the plan the same way. You know, they TVA has this thing that's called, what is that called? A 2-minute rule, where you approach the work and you check the conditions of the work and see if it differs from the PTP or the pre-job brief. I think the PJB, or, you know, same thing. It's a brief meeting about the task and what you'll be doing. Have you done that? And then it's a cool little thing, a 2-minute rule, and it's normally one guy on each crew who's assigned the task of doing that 2-minute rule, and they do it as a team, and it makes sure that everybody understood during the PTP or the PJB, that everybody understood what the task is and how they're going to do it, what the hazards are, and how to mitigate them. You know, little checklists force you to pause, reset, and focus. And those might be the most important seconds of your day. Bruce Lee, I don't know if you know him, but back in the 70s, he was a hot shot. Might have made it in the early 80s. Something terrible happened to him. He died for some reason, an aneurysm or something. But the successful warrior is the average man with laser-like focus. And that's attributed to him. You don't need to be extraordinary. You just need to be consistent and focused. And, you know, that, Lord knows that's me and my darn diet. You know, I didn't get to go home this weekend, and I was here in the hotel room, and, you know, you're stuck in a what? I don't know how big this thing is, 25 feet by, I don't know, 15 feet, a box. I had plenty to do. I did some video scripting, recorded some videos and edited them, went grocery shopping, did my laundry. But still, that don't add up to a whole lot of time compared to the amount of time I've been in the room. I did the script for this, and here I am still part of the weekend. When I get done here in the next few minutes, I'll wrap this up and get ready to go to the job site and start our weekly routine. I think we got a little rain this morning. Let me know what the weather's like in your area. Send me a note. Send me this in the chat thing. Send me a message in the chats. Okay, but anyway, focus. Now, focus can wear you out if you're highly focused all the time, and you need to give yourself a break. You know, 2.5 hours, 2 hours, that's a long time when you're highly focused. And so that's why there's normally a break around mid-morning before lunch. You know, a short 15-minute break where guys can just sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee and entertain one another with stories or talk about what's going on in their lives with each other. But other than that, you need to stay focused on what you're doing. I know that 2.5, but if you're really involved, and I've been some guys who've been super involved in some stuff, some rigging tasks, some crane lift plans that were complex and not necessarily either putting it in or taking it out in a demolition scenario, double checking where all the cuts are, making sure it's rigged properly, got the center of gravity properly chosen, you got the proper angles on the rigging, you got coordinating with 4 or 5 guys who will be cutting the structure free and which way they're going to go if something goes crazy, and the crane operator sitting out there letting you know if he's picking like a weight or if it's not looking right to him, and if you're overseeing all that, you're highly focused. So a lot of times between those big picks and doing a big pick now, I don't know if any of y'all got any crane experience, but you know, doing demolition and you do a big pick, it could take an hour or more to get it rigged up and get it properly set and make the cuts and get it on the ground. It could take 1.5 hours. I've seen it take a couple hours to do that, and boy, you and your crew are pretty much beat out. And you know, you got to make one more pick before lunchtime, and I break, have a cup of coffee, drink a bottle of water, and let's look at what we're going to be doing next. And, you know, they ain't really breaking. They're looking at where the cuts are going to go, and the guys on the ground they've been sitting around watching for 2 hours, the ground guys. And they're down there and got it on the ground, got all the rigging coming back up to you, and the crane operator, he'll get it back and put it in the general area, and then he'll take a nap. And your guys are already looking at the next pick. So it's a highly focused time. So when they're back at it, they're ready to go. But anyway, sometimes you just got to call. Break. Take a break. And if you want to study it while we're taking a break, that's on you. But we just need to take a break and redirect our focus, because it's excitement goes up and down. Anyway, that's where we're at. So, stay focused on what we're doing. Now, last week, like I said, we covered pinch points, how small gaps can cause big injuries. You know, like I was just talking about with the crane operation. You know, you got a 30,000 pound pick, and you know, there's an opening and you reach your hand in there, and one crane movement or a guy catty corner from you makes a cut and it frees the structure and it swings an inch or whatever, and your hand is in there. Oh man, God, 30,000, that's heavy. And you're going to lose something with that. So keep your hands free. Now this week, I'm going to be talking about ladders on the Middleclassbubba channel, the safety channel, the safety topic channel. And the title is The Climb is only safe if the setup is smart. And we'll be covering set up, the climb, and the mistakes that turn ladders into hazards. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. And then finally, this week, I'm grateful for you guys who, if you're not watching now, and I don't see anybody that popped in, maybe somebody, and I don't, you know what, I keep saying this, and I still mean it. I don't care if anybody shows up or not, or shows up for this thing in the morning or not. And I've had people watch it later on, and I've had some people pop in from time to time and give me a minute or two. And people who watch it later on as a recording. And, I'm grateful for the opportunity, because it gives me a chance to be here and renew my commitment to helping guys be safe and conscientious on their job, increase productivity, being the best they can be. And let companies know that I work with that my intent is sincere, because there ain't no wealth in this, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever and getting this thing ready to go and writing script and all that. Yeah, I don't expect any personal gain, but I do know that I've created a record that shows what safety means to me, and how important your safety to me is. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to get up and do this work, to make this happen. And hopefully one day I'll receive a message, or somebody will pop in and say, man, I appreciate what you've done with this. And that's all the reward I really need. I just want to make sure, over my career in safety, I've had to deal with multiple fatalities, and I don't want to see that. That's part of my motivating factor to get me up and make these videos on this channel and the other safety channel. I just want to make sure that I'm reaching out, that I've done something to keep somebody safe somewhere, and that they get to go home. It's like companies out there, they think that safety is an expense until someone gets hurt, and then it's a priority. And that priority, once that effort is made through a safety professional, a conscientious safety professional, I must add, there's people in my field who look at it as just a job and not a career. And I've seen them, I spot them a mile away, and it's disappointing to see that kind of character behavior. But I know that if I can convince men who are young men to take an interest in themselves and understand how important their safety is, not only to themselves, but to their family and their coworkers, and they start creating a team mentality around safety and creating a safe, timely, and efficient workforce. I know employers will be grateful, but the team members should be grateful too. And hey, guys, if you got a supervisor who's rushing you beyond safety, you need to move on. There's other companies out there that will hire you and put you to work. Talk to his supervisor, say, hey man, this guy's he's not being safe. He's having total disregard about safety, and he's going to get somebody hurt. And if you can either put me on a different crew, or I'm going to have to move along. And that's your responsibility to yourself and to your family. You don't need the stress of some yahoo who doesn't give two hoots and hollers about you or your co-workers, encouraging the lack of safe behavior. And I've seen that before too. And fortunately, unfortunately, I had the authority and made sure that that behavior did not continue. Anyway, we got about 5 minutes left. And like I said, I'm grateful for the ability to be here with you And, you know, it requires a great deal of focus for me to stay motivated to write these scripts and struggle through. Sometimes, you know, I run out of things to talk about. If somebody were to pop on here right now and give me a message in the chat thing or whatever it is, I'd probably fall clean out of this video screen right here, and y'all be looking at just the background, me laying on the floor in amazement. And but it becomes a permanent record, and I know people go by and watch it occasionally. I've received some messages of gratitude from them, and I appreciate that too, man. That's the biggest gift of all. We're running out of time here. It's 5:55, and I've been at this for 55 minutes. Anyway, I'm grateful for the ability to focus, because not everyone gets that gift every day. Let's make it a week of clear minds, safe climbs, and steady progress, okay? You ain't got to know everything to be perfect, and there's nothing wrong with being imperfect. But if you recognize that you're not perfect, and I recognized that myself a long time ago, there are resources available to you, especially in today's world of internet, and there's information that's abundantly available to you. Now you have to exercise a little discretion, because you know, people can, who knows, man. Just be safe out there and pay attention to what's going on around you. And you know, and here's the thing, you know, and I think I've got that coming up this week in Human Performance, in the series I'm doing on the job site. And you know, safety is a leadership role. If you show up every day, I got one little kid on this job site, man. I don't know how he does it, but his boots looks like he cleans them every night when he goes home. And he gets up in the morning and leads us and stretch and flex. And I've got his name. I keep his name on a piece of paper in my safety vest. And I look at him every day, and I'm watching him. You know, not only do I watch him in the mornings and his enthusiasm there, but I watch him throughout the day and see if he consistently behaves in a safe fashion. Does he always have his PPE on? Is he wearing it properly? Is he conscientious about? I'm watching this young man, and I'm going to do everything I can to promote him. And I've already started. And the company that he works for, the superintendents and the foremen on that job are watching this young man, and he knows it, but he's making the effort. You know, it's amazing to watch a young man who's got some drive and ambition about him wiggle through the nightmare of all the mediocrity that is around him all the time. And so you know, take that for what it's worth. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. Older dudes, you got a lot of experience. You've got a lot of things behind you. You got a lot of things that you can share with younger guys. But it all begins with your attitude, how you think about things, and the way you see the world, and the way you care about and see the people around you. So safety is a leadership position. If you take it seriously, there's every company, every business, every politics needs leaders, businesses needs leaders, educators need leaders. The need for leaders is always far exceeds the supply. So if you take on the leadership role in whatever you endeavor, you have the opportunity to be a leader. But that has to begin with you, and what your heart tells you, what your mindset tells you, and how you begin your day and how you end your day the attitude and the influence that you have on others. And if you take the mindset to be a positive influence on others and lead them on the path that you know is right, then the rewards of leadership will be yours. Now, there's some other things that come along with leadership that I don't know if I'd necessarily define them as rewards, but anyway, stick with it, get after it, do something special with your life. Anyway, we're out of time. Stay safe, stay sharp, stay on time, and as always, have a grateful day, have a grateful week, and I will see